Fat, you a fucking bug.
Welcome to Everyday Life. It's your boy Uncle Deacon coming to you to encourage you, motivate you, elevate you, educate you, but most of all, love you. Yo, world, what's up? It's your boy, Uncle Deacon. Listen, before we get started, I need you to like, share, subscribe, and comment on this video. Today, your boy Uncle Deacon finna come in and I'm finna talk to y'all about me. We're gonna start this topic off talking about bisexuality because that's who your boy is. You hear me? The first thing I wanna say to all my bisexual brothers and sisters out there is listen. We got to stop lying about who we really are. We got to stop trying to hide it and cover it up and make it look pretty and dress it up and all of that. We got to stop doing all that. We just got to be real about who the hell we are. People either going to accept us or they're not going to accept us. Now, before I go too much further into that, let me start off by saying this. I am 45 years old. I've been dealing with this situation almost my entire life. And just to give you some background history, we're gonna go back to when I was a teenager growing up and the shit that I saw. And man, it's gonna be a whole you dig, you hear me? So let's get into it. So like I said, I'm a bisexual man. I've been bisexual for years. I have went through some turmoil while being bisexual. Before I was bisexual though, I was just flat out gay. I didn't give a damn. I didn't want to be with no woman. To me, being with a woman was like, ew. It was like taboo. It was disgusting. It was nasty until I actually got with one. Then it was like, oh shit, that's what I've been missing. So yeah, I'm finna break it down to you. I'm finna break it down to you. But like I said, listen, I started out, I was gay, as life went on. I had experience with women and life has life, you feel me? But I will say this. Out of everything that happens here today, after everything that I share with you all today, the only thing I really want you to get is I want you to get an understanding, I want you to get courage, and I want you to be educated. You know what I'm saying? Of course, I have my sayings at the end of all my podcasts where I want you to be elevated, motivated, educated, and most of all, love. That's all I want out of every podcast. But this one here is a little near and dear to me because it's talking about me. Now, I had to be around the age of 16 when I had my first sexual experience with a female. And let me tell you, that thing blew my mind open. Oh my God, it blew my mind open. And just like every other bisexual teenager, I was still denying it, like, nah, I'm strictly gay. I'm not bisexual. Because, it was taboo, and then the girly boys that I was dealing with and the boy boys that I was dealing with, if you was to mess around with a woman, they called you cheesy dick. So, you just, it was real. It was a real rough time. And this was back in the 80s and the 90s. Late 80s, early 90s, mid 90s, late 90s. That's when I was really out there on the street as them 90s. I'm an 80s baby, Generation X, Gemini all day long. But the one thing I did learn throughout everything that I've been through, I've learned to be honest with all of my partners. And I'm going to go further into details about being honest with everybody that you meet about your sexuality. But first, let's just go ahead and talk about bisexuality. Now, a lot of people don't like bisexual people because they feel like, you're a danger to society because you're having sex with everybody, men and women. So, you're the one that's definitely spreading AIDS, HIV. So, we are probably the lowest thing on the board when it comes to the alphabets, the LGBT. Yeah, we are literally the bottom. Like, they look at us in disgust because we're the ones that's, you know, doing all of that, right? But what people don't understand is when when you're an individual and you've had sex in one fashion and then you've been exposed to the other fashions, what do they expect is going to happen? I mean, Sex wasn't, even though I was molested at an early age, sex wasn't bad for me. If anything, I ran to sex. I didn't run from it. I didn't get in a closet in a bubble and climb up and clutch up. Nope. I actually dived right off into that thing. And psychology will tell you most rape victims either do one of three things. They either run from sex, run to sex, or start street drugs to cope. They start, they get high. They crack cocaine, heroin. They run straight to that to cope, to deal with their issues. So one of those three things. Well, me, I ran straight to sex, baby. It wasn't running. I ran straight to it. And it took me some time to actually realize, what was going on. I had to be well off into my 20s when I actually woke up to the fact that, hey, I like having sex with men and women, and I accepted who I was, which was a whole nother process. That process was so vulgar to me and so destructive to me because I didn't want to accept it. I didn't want to accept it. My thinking was off. I was suicidal all the time. I was just ready. And it took me to wake up one morning and ask myself, how much do you love you? How much do you really want to live? Like, is it really that bad? And after much careful thinking and consideration, it's really not all that bad. It just really isn't. So then I started dating people. And I'm not gonna lie to you. At first I was lying to them. I was lying left and right. Nope, I'm strictly gay. And if it was a female, nope, I'm straight. I like the females. That's it. That's all. I was just lying. I was lying. It took me going to prison, even though my mother, and God bless her soul, my mother, when I was younger, and her rearing and her child rearing, she told me early on, around the age of 12, maybe 13, whenever you get with somebody, baby, don't lie to them. You want to tell them the truth because that's your partner. They're going to be with you for life. So you don't want to lie to your partner. Like my mother, she instilled that in me. But I didn't remember that in my 20s, baby. Baby, that went clean out the window. Uh, so yeah, I was in that joint and, I wasn't being honest to none of my partners. I was just doing what I was doing. I was just doing what I was doing and going on through that. When I got incarcerated, of course, I'm not gonna lie to you. Hell yeah, I had a few partners incarcerated. I did. I had a bunch of sexual partners incarcerated. I can't talk to you about nobody else, but I can tell you about Uncle Deacon here. I did. And while incarcerated, it took an older individual, much older than me, to actually sit me down and tell me that with everything you're doing in here, you have to be honest with yourself and be honest with your partner. Because the last thing you want to do is attract something that you can't get rid of. And at first, it was like, man, I ain't trying to hear that shit. But some things happen, and that reality slapped the living hell out of me. Let me tell you, I was in there and I wind up getting into a relationship with an individual who was actually HIV positive. Now, of course, at the time, I didn't know it. And this individual was lying about it. And of course, we always had this thing whenever, two individuals meet and they finna get in a relationship. Before they do anything, first thing you say is, hey, let's go over to healthcare, let's get a checkup, and then we're gonna show each other our papers. That was the plan. We had set it up and everything. But then they wind up moving his ass into my cell before I called Dick to go over there to healthcare so we can get checked. So of course, one thing led to another, and y'all, come on, we all grown in here. We all grown. I hope we all grown. I hope ain't no minors on here, but if it is, that's on you. Um, one thing led to another, and it happened. Okay. And of course, months later, I found out that this was, well, it wasn't months later, it was actually weeks later when I found out that this individual was HIV positive. And let me tell you how I found out. This SOB had the audacity to get his cell changed because he knew I was going to start asking questions. He knew what time it was. He felt guilty. Like, I didn't know until the day he moved out. And just so happened the way he moved out, he was over in IA office, and the officers came back and asked me to pack his shit. So while I'm packing his stuff, I'm going through his paperwork, and I see in his paperwork, this nigga's HIV positive, but he got all type of medications in his box. So I kept looking at the medications, and the officers came, and I showed the officers, and they're like, "Well, why are you going through his stuff?" And so I told them what was going on. I flat out told on myself, knowing that I can get a year segregation time. I'm grateful I told on myself because the officers were shocked. They immediately called IA and healthcare. Now, why would you call IA and healthcare if a man just told you he had sex with another man? You only do that if somebody said that they was raped. I didn't tell you I was raped. So that was a dead tail right there. Let me tell you, that thing destroyed me mentally. Mentally, it destroyed me. And because of that, I now stand on this principle. Don't lie to your partner about who you are. Don't lie to your partner about what you have. You have some individuals out here that really understands HIV and everything that goes with it, that understands gonorrhea, herpes. They understand all these sexual transmitted diseases, and they also understand that with the right medications, you can't give me that thing even if we have sex. So there's a lot of people out here with this knowledge, but when you underestimate a person and then you lie to them and manipulate them and trick them into having an encounter with you, knowing that you are toxic, knowing that you can do detrimental damage to this person, that's not cool. There are repercussions, but you might mess around and mess with somebody and they find out that you done lied to them about your health, and you possibly pass it on, and they can come back and kill you and your whole family. Now, why would you want to set your family up for that? Let's start using our head because half the time you really don't know the next person that you're dealing with. You have an idea because y'all talk, but you really don't know what's in that person's head right now. You really don't know. Being dishonest, it can open up a lot of doors that you really don't want to open. You know what I mean? Now, like, so I even want to go as far as to say, like, when my mother was doing her teachings, when I was little, when my mother was raising me, you know, I told y'all this once before. She embedded in me not to lie to my partners. I can't get past that. No other. There's no way I can get past. Man, my mother wasn't a mother that my dad was in the household. No, my mother was a single mother. But she taught me and my sister both. Don't lie to your partner. And don't let your partner lie to you. Don't be a fool. Verify, investigate, you know? And I'm telling y'all, verify and investigate. Don't just believe what they say. Because what they say ain't all that crack. And then understand, I was a young, again, I tell y'all this. I was gay. Flat out. I wasn't thinking about being nobody. Saying I was, me and women, it was like, ugh. But old buddy, when I got that first shot, it was something totally different. I'm talking about the man in me woke up and I was like, yeah, need some more of this. This what's happening right here. I ain't gonna lie to you, I'm man, shake it, ain't trying to shake it. But now I'm intrigued by both. And even with the women that I meet today, I'm not gonna lie to them. I'm gonna give them the power of knowledge so they can make an accurate decision. You either want to mess with me or you don't. Because for every one of you that don't want to mess with me, there's 200 of them that will. And then if I got a female that's bisexual, oh hell, I'm finna hell, that man got swimming with you. Finna and finna rock this all the way out, all the way out. But once again, like I said to all my bisexual brothers and sisters, listen, I just want y'all to stop lying, stop being in the closet. Let these people know what time it is. And I understand some of y'all, my job, my fam, man, listen, it's 2026. If people can't accept you for who you are in 2026, then them niggas don't need to be around you. If the people you are around can't help motivate you, elevate you, educate you, and encourage you, you need to let all them bastards go. Because that's all it's about in 2026. We're about taking off. We're about living life. We're about getting on planes and going out of town and enjoying the world. And at the same time, I'm not gonna leave my brother, my sister, my cousin, my uncle. I don't give a damn who you fucking. Long as you ain't forcing nobody to have sex. That's the only thing I care about. And out of all my podcasts, I always say, listen, I want all of you to be elevated, motivated, educated, but most of all, love. It's your boy Uncle Deacon, and to all my nieces and my nephews, I love you. Again, listen, like, subscribe, comment, and share. That's my time. I'm out.